Hiya guys, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who haven't been before, hi, my name's Zoe. As a lot of you know, I went through an extreme traumatic event in public, and that then stayed with me for the next 9, nearly 10 years. And I get a lot of people asking me to talk about how I got over the trauma of that and how I got through being on the X Factor. And in all honesty, for a long time, I didn't recognise that what I was going through was trauma. And I now know that once a person has been through trauma, that can directly lead on to mental health problems and can also make people more susceptible to mental health problems, because traumatic events in our lives will stay with us forever. But there are things we can do to help us get over the trauma and learn to live with it. So that's why I've decided to make a series talking about my experiences, feelings, coping mechanisms that helped me get through my traumatic experience. I decided to do a series because once I sat down and started really thinking about what I've been through and how I felt about it and how I coped with it, we'd be here all day if I tried to do it all in one. So I decided to just start at the very beginning, and that is the trauma. Now, like I said, it did take me quite some time to actually recognise that I had been through a serious traumatic experience, and I didn't actually address the situation for quite some time. I kind of just went around trying to block it all out and pretend that it wasn't happening, which was not a healthy way to deal with the trauma that I'd gone through. And that sort of left me in fight or flight mode constantly. I was perceiving everything around me as a threat or dangerous. And as I was trying to process what had happened, I was still living what had happened because it hadn't gone away. I mean, I was trying to process everything that was in my head, but I was also having to live with the fact that not all of it was actually in my head. What I mean by that is that I didn't just think that people were laughing at me. People were laughing at me. I mean, I couldn't go anywhere without that happening. People would get their phones out and they would stand laughing and sniggering at me, and some people would even come up and say things straight to my face, and I would just have to sort of pretend that I didn't see what was happening. At that time, I felt dehumanized. It was really tough because I didn't just think people thought I was an idiot. They really did think that I was an idiot, and none of what was going on in my head was just an isolated incident. People thought that I was crazy, and they would openly judge me. And I was constantly humiliated by complete strangers. I suppose a good way to explain it is that I was living the embodiment of social anxiety, because at that time, all of my phobias were real in all social settings, even the internet. There was nowhere I could run and hide. I couldn't get away from it. So that flight or fight mode that I was in most of the time was not just me perceiving a dangerous situation or a threatening situation in my head. It was actually happening. And I think that led me to develop a sort of learned form of social anxiety. And I think living with that immediately after the traumatic event meant that the trauma sort of carried on, and that left me feeling constantly fatigued and burnt out. At that time as well, I also started suffering from severe migraines and headaches, and even the smallest tasks would leave me feeling exhausted. But despite that, I still carried on going to work singing, and I still carried on going to the gym. Now, getting up on stage and performing was extremely mentally strenuous. I would work on the weekends mostly, which meant that I would spend Monday to Friday full of anxiety. I couldn't concentrate on anything else, and the thought of performing, it filled me with fear and dread. And I don't think that my feelings at that time were out of proportion with the original trauma, because I was being constantly made to relive it. I was living in an extreme state of stress, having anxious and stressful thoughts, being compounded by people's reactions and attitudes towards me, which obviously made me very, very stressed. And anxiety is our body's response to stress. And you might be wondering, well, why did you carry on singing then? And that's because I had been left with no choice but to sing for a living. I tried to get jobs, and of course everyone knew who I was, and everyone thought I was crazy, so no one would give me a job, and that's what I was left with. So I was sort of stuck, and it was so strange because I was stuck doing the thing that I love doing the most, yet in a lot of ways what had happened had made what I loved doing the most completely unbearable. But one thing that absolutely helped to soothe me was going to the gym, because I am a firm believer in, if you have a healthy body, it will help you to have a healthy mind. Don't mistake me though. I went to the gym most days, but it was tough. The worst bit was getting myself there. Some days I would be absolutely fine, and other days I would sit in my car and cry and cry and cry, and I would have to calm myself down and come home and then try again later. And at that time, and still now really, I found music to be very healing as well. So especially those times where I'd be in the car, my anxiety going through the roof, unable to get out, I would put on some of my favourite music, and that would really, really help relax me. So I would say for me, and it's definitely not the same for everyone, but for me the gym 100% helped me to start repairing my self-image. And I'm not saying just pop off to the gym, everything will be fine, but it does help. It helped me, and I know everyone's different and different things help different people, but music, gym, going for a walk, these are all things that really, really do help. I would say that the time that I'm talking about, right back at the beginning, the weeks and months, possibly even a year or so after the X Factor episode aired, I honestly did not know that what I was going through was trauma. And after speaking to a lot of people, it seems that that can be the case for many, many people. I think that at that time, you have to give yourself permission to feel. Cry, be angry, do whatever it is you need to do, and seek comfort from things. For me, it was the gym, it was music. For other people, it could be food, writing things, writing a diary, or going for a walk. Whatever it is that gives you comfort, do that. And don't forget to give yourself permission to feel. And don't judge yourself for being sad, confused, angry. You are allowed to feel, and you are only human. And the thing is, trauma, it can impact anybody's life in many, many different forms. And trauma can occur more than once in different ways. And healing from trauma is a lifetime journey. For me, my trauma manifested itself into other issues, a lot of which I have worked on, and some of which I continue to work on. And these are things that I am going to talk about in this series. I think if you have been affected by trauma, you give yourself a break and remember that what you are feeling is completely normal. Human emotions and feelings are completely unpredictable, and what one person feels can be completely different for another person. I think one of the most important points is that you must let yourself recognise that you have had a traumatic experience, because just because you try and push it away and block it out, it's still going to be there. You have to let your mind and your body confront the emotions. And I say body because some people, they feel physical pain. Like with me, it was headaches, and it can manifest itself in many different ways. You have to allow yourself the right to find that thing that gives you comfort. And I think another very important thing, so, writing, listening to music, dance, listen to music and dance, get moving, because is so good for your own self-worth, and it will, whatever it is, it'll make you feel better. Do not beat yourself up about past events, because it is not productive. That will not help you heal. And most of all, give yourself time. I have been going on my journey of trauma and mental health for coming up 10 years. I think that getting into a routine and talking to people close to you is very, very important, because I got into the routine of going to the gym, going to work, and I did talk to the people around me, and it definitely helps. And I think that once you've given yourself that time and you have started to accept what has happened to you, then you can start to move on. Once you've done that, that's the time that you can successfully go forward in your life. These things you do are all steps to stop you being overwhelmed with thoughts and feelings of the past and help you look forward to the future. And like me, you might be going through trauma that is reoccurring, but that's okay. You can still work through it, and you will still get there in the end, because trauma recovery is definitely a process that is worked through over time. We just have to take everything day by day, little by little, improving how we feel about our lives just a little bit every day. You don't need to rush yourself. And I just want to remind anyone who might have gone through or be going through trauma that I just want to remind anyone who maybe has gone through or is going through trauma that trauma is considered to be a disconnective disorder. It typically does not improve in isolation. So don't isolate yourself from your friends and family and people that are close to you. I think that the human body and the human mind is resilient as. And even though things seem hard and sometimes it feels like you're not going to get through it, you can. Because if I can get through it, then anyone can get through it. I was at a point in my life where I was so low. My self-worth was nowhere. And I managed to pick myself up and start rebuilding myself. I'm pretty happy now. There's still things I've got to work through, but overall I've worked past the trauma and I feel good. If you guys want me to, I am going to do a series of these videos, because as I said, there's so much to it. This is just the start. The trauma is just the start of what you have to deal with. So I'm gonna work through my brain and dig it all out, which let me tell you is going to be pretty hard work. So I hope you enjoyed hearing about my experiences. I hope that I helped you maybe feel a little bit better about anything you're going through. Like I said, I'm going to continue talking about all my experiences and everything that helped me get through. And let me know if you've got any thoughts or anything in the comments, any other videos you'd like me to do, any topics, anything at all. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all soon.